Brian Robb, Boston Sports Journal. Brad, you went with to Marcus Morris to start there. What were you thinking behind that, and how do you think that group looked together?
I thought the group at the start of the game got good looks, played well together, and then started the second half really well together. I think Marcus's size and yet the skill and ability to play in a smaller fashion made the most sense. Also wanted to keep Gordon coming off, and so we could, play through some of his actions when those other guys went to the bench. So we'll see how it looks when we go back and look at it on film. But obviously, I thought it was good.
Mark Murphy, Boston Herald. Brad, you guys have managed Al's knee all year. He's talked about how this gives him a little longevity this time of year. Can you talk about his two-way performance and just how fresh he seems to be?
Yeah, we've said all year you can't overstate Al Horford's importance to our team. It's just, obviously the numbers back that up, but just his ability to stretch the floor against size and post smalls, and then also on the other end be very versatile defensively. I thought we tried to guard Giannis as hard as we could. He still ended up with 22 points and made a bunch of threes there in the second half, but that's a team collective effort. And Al obviously, was assigned to him quite a bit, but I thought the whole team was cognizant of him. And we're going to have to look at it and see what we can do better. But Al is obviously a huge part of our team, and I'm thankful for the long periods of time in between timeouts in the fourth quarter.
Josie Pavone, WEEI, and CLNS Media. Brad, just an update on Aaron Baines.
Aaron Baines rolled his ankle. He was available to go back in, according to our training staff. Didn't put him back in, obviously. We'll see how he feels tomorrow. He's rolled it a few times in the last month, so we'll see how he feels. He's obviously an important part of our team, too.
Brad, Paul Flannery, SB Nation. We talked before the game about Kyrie and the way he's been managing the game. How did you feel about the way he managed the game tonight, getting his shot, but also getting everyone involved?
No, that's what he's got to do. I thought he was great, very efficient shooting the ball with the amount of attention on him. Some of those shots in the first quarter were ridiculous as we made our run. And then I thought that when he drew two, he made the next right play. I thought we all did a much better job than our last regular season game here of doing that. And we're going to have to continue to do it. Those guys are going to draw a lot of attention on drives and on pick and rolls and those type of things. But I thought Kyrie played well.
Brian Robb, Boston Sports Journal. Brad, you guys have talked, all year long. You guys have had troubled times of adversity during games. Just to, you guys had the early 15-point lead, give that back. How encouraging was it to see the way you guys came out in the second half to kind of respond to that?
Yeah, I thought we had a few moments at the end of the regular season that said we were headed in the right direction, but you never get that feeling until you really get into the playoffs and things start going against you. I did think we showed that against Indiana, both at home and on the road. And it was encouraging today because this game in game one that we played Milwaukee this year, we were up 15 in the fourth, and by 10 minutes in the fourth, it was a 2-point game. You just any little let up, and they just take advantage of it, and not even sometimes a let up. Sometimes you just miss a couple of open shots, and they take advantage of it. So we were fortunate to be up 2 at halftime, and I thought we came out of the gates well in the second half, and played well from there on out. But this is a hard team to play against, and that wasn't their best game. And we're going to have to be awfully good on Tuesday, and we know that.
Brad, Steve Belpat, Boston Herald. The way you guys collapsed defensively, was that by design or just reaction of guys?
Obviously, without getting too far into it, you have to pay that guy a lot of attention when he's driving the ball. And you have to get back out the shooters. So how's that for a non-committal answer? Thanks.
Kyrie and Al becoming
Yeah, yeah. Real love, something I've been trying to find. Where you been? Got here just in time. I think there's something I've been waiting for. I've been asking if it's something that I'm ready for. I was out looking for love in a trash can. I always thought there was nobody out there. Then I found you and you put me in the zone. When I'm with you, I feel like I be in my zone. When I'm sleeping, love is all I can dream of. When you leave me, baby, it's all that I can think of. Can't nothing come in between us but the road. I can't help it that we connected at the soul. Show me how to love, how you do that. It's my heart, better watch the way you shoot it. When I'm with you, I feel like I be in the zone. When I'm with you, I feel like I be in my zone. When I'm with you, I feel like I be in my zone. When I'm with you, I feel like I be in my zone. This time last year, used to hate love. Been through so much, almost gave up. Every time I felt like it was something missing. Then I met you, then you showed me something different. Heart on lockdown, but let no one in. I was shutting people down before they even begin. Can't imagine me living my life without you.
You know, I think both ends of the court, we're going to have to be a lot better. You know, credit to Boston. You know, individually and collectively, they played well today. We didn't. So between now and Tuesday, we'll look at the film, find ways where we can get better defensively, get better offensively, and look forward to being better on Tuesday.
Eric named The Athletic, but how do you try to get Giannis loose? Obviously, he had a rough go of it tonight. How do you try to get him loose going into game 2?
Well, I mean, you know, Giannis, as great as he's been this year, you know, he hasn't been perfect every night. He's hard on himself, so there's probably some point I'm just going to put my arms around him and tell him, you're going to be great. He's been so good so many nights. And, you know, I think, again, credit to Boston. They're doing some things well. But I think, you know, Giannis will play better, and, you know, we'll work. We'll look at some things between now and Tuesday, and, you know, I'm sure he's looking forward to Tuesday just like we are.
Kane Pittman with a pick and roll. Early in the game, it sort of dug yourself a bit of a hole where the Celtics could get on top of you. When you look at the shooting numbers, obviously it's not pretty, but did you like what you saw from offense early in terms of the shots you were getting, or what did you see to start the game?
A little bit of both. You know, there's times when the offense was, you know, not producing the kind of shots and opportunities that you'd like. And then there were, you know, just like in any game, you know, when you get a good look, you get open opportunities, you kind of need to capitalize on them. And we didn't do a good enough job of making open shots. And then there were probably too many possessions where we didn't generate really good shots.
In the second half especially, were there points where you thought the guys weren't taking open shots, they were hesitating and not really just taking the shots that you would want them to take?
You know, there may, just like anything, there may be a couple examples. Obviously, we got called for a couple of travels where we pump faked, and you know, generally speaking, you know, all year we've been telling them to let it fly and shoot it, and this series isn't any different. There's probably more of an emphasis on you got to take open shots, you got to really let it fly, but it didn't stand out to me the second half that we were, you know, hesitant or not shooting it when we were open.
We've talked all season about when Bledsoe's great, you guys are great. Obviously tonight he plays just 25 minutes. What do you see from him, and I guess maybe his struggles tonight?
Yeah, I mean, he was close to just his normal rotations, and it's a 20-point game. We didn't go back to him to finish, so you know, I thought he, you know, attacked. He created some open threes for us. You know, they're coming late on our drives, and again, I thought he created a couple open threes or several. Got to the free throw line some, so. You know, I think, again, he makes one or two of his open threes, and maybe that opens things up for him more, for us more. But, you know, I think he'll be looking forward to Tuesday just like the rest of us.
Tom Oates, Wisconsin State Journal. This isn't the kind of, you haven't had very many of these kinds of losses this year. What do you expect to be the kind of the key things in recovering from this and getting over it and getting on with?
Well, I think the biggest thing, you know, our group's character has always shown. This year, whenever we haven't played well or we've come off a loss, the response has always been very good. So we expect the same thing, the competitiveness of our group, the character of the group. This is when it's tested. This is when it shows.
John Corrales, MassLive.com. Defensively, what did you see, especially when the Celtics were getting a lot of those cuts off of their spacing?
Yeah, there was a couple times where, I think one, we probably overshifted, lost sight of our man. They moved well without the ball. A lot of tension on their pick and rolls with Irving and Horford. So, I think, like there was a couple of them, but generally I don't think that was our issue tonight.
What did you think about Al Horford's impact on today's game?
Yeah, thought Al was good. Just like with everything else they did, it started with his defense. He was, I think, pretty disciplined and showing his hands and being physical, but, we didn't get very many calls on drives. So defensively he was good. He made enough shots offensively, facilitates as a passer. Generally, they played well, including Al.
I think the entire week we talked about the pick and pop, and obviously you saw a lot of it. How do you feel like you guys defended and adjusted to it as the game went on?
Yeah, we'll obviously look at it a lot in the film and just see, how much it hurt us, how many they're getting to, what we need to do differently, if anything. And, that'll be just like there was an emphasis coming into game one, it'll be an emphasis going into game two.
There was a lot of talk about the rotation before the game, and I think sort of as you said, the minutes were sort of as they have been across the board. Is Tony Snell a guy? I know that the injury was obviously unfortunate timing, but is he a guy that maybe works his way into this rotation?
We certainly have a lot of confidence in Tony. It's great that I think he is getting stronger and healthier, but we'll look at the film and we'll see if we need to change the rotations. That's not what pops to the top of, our list of probably things that we need to do better.
Thanks, bud.
All right, thank you.
Ball hard on the court, boy. Ball hard on the court. Switch it up, pass, cross 'em up, fast. Ball hard on the court, boy. Ball hard on the court. Switch it up, pass, cross 'em up, fast. MJ with the ball, temp fade. Been made since the old days, so paid. LJ call him King James. 6 rings, ball hard in the paint, thanks. What a gratitude, young black man with an attitude. So focused, you probably think that I'm mad at you. Gotta get that check on the sex like flex, make the girl say yes. What you mean? I just put some magic on the dream. Clean, do it for the team, Billie Jean. Sammy Santor like y'all mean. Crowd scene, thanks for the doubting. Ball hard on the court, boy. Ball hard on the court. Switch it up, pass, pass. Cross 'em up, fast, fast. Ball hard on the court, boy. Ball hard on the court. Switch it up, pass, pass. Cross 'em up, fast. Lightning, I move smooth as Tai Chi. Never gave two what if they like me. Entice D, bet I bubble like Sprite B. And when it comes to the feet, it's not likely. Street cred, plus I run the court 6 legs. Y'all just creep, no 6 leg. Paint a picture for your head, top ball till I'm dead drop. Shoot threes from the grave, no the game don't stop. Coach put me in, no I can't just watch. No, bench warmers or ball hoarders in my corner. My legacy lives on like a heart donor. Transplant, I ain't talking about your hairline. If it's J's on my feet, then it's airtime. Snare chime, words for weapons, well let me add mine. Chop a sound, drop it down, bear climb, gone. Ball hard on the court, boy. Ball hard on the court. Switch it up, pass, pass. Cross 'em up, fast, fast. Ball hard on the court, boy. Ball hard on the court. Switch it up, pass, pass. Cross 'em up, fast.
Yeah. Real love, something I've been trying to find. Where you been? Got here just in time. I think there's something I've been waiting for. I've been asking if it's something that I'm ready for. I was out looking for love in a trash can. I always thought there was nobody out there. Then I found you and you put me in the zone. When I'm with you, I feel like I be in my zone. When I'm sleeping, love is all I can dream of. When you leave me, baby, it's all that I can think of. Can't nothing come in between us but the road. I can't help it that we connected at the soul. Show me how to love, how you do that. This my heart, better watch the way you shoot it. When I'm with you, I feel like I be in the zone. When I'm with you, I feel like I be in my zone. When I'm with you, I feel like I be in my zone. When I'm with you, I feel like I be in my zone. This time last year, used to hate love. Been through so much, almost gave up. Every time I felt like it was something missing. Then I met you, then you showed me something different. Heart on lockdown, but letting no one in. I was shutting people down before they even begin. Can't imagine me living my life without you. Had to sit down and write me a song about you. Lost my mind to describe what it feel like. If a bird lost a wing, but it still flies. You the one, help me realize. Love really do exist in the real life. Love really do exist in the real life. Real life, real life. When I'm sleeping, love is all I can dream of. When you leave me, baby, it's all that I can think of. Can't nothing come in between us but the road. I can't help it that we connected at the soul. Show me how to love, how you do that. It's my heart, better watch the way you shoot it.
Questions for Kyrie? Al? Remember, state your name and affiliation first, please, before asking a question. Thank you.
Sherrod Blakely, NBC Sports Boston. This question is for both you guys. Speak of the importance of coming in here, establishing the tone, not only in terms of how you play, but also doing it in a winning fashion.
I just think that we came in very focused, locked in on the things that we wanted to do as a group. We knew that we were going to have to play a very solid game, and I felt like our focus level was good from the beginning. And we just continue to stick together throughout the game.
And just okay. And just to follow, Al. Obviously, it's a team defense when you're dealing with a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo. But just speak to what your focus was and just your mindset as you were tackling that assignment.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a great player. I think that our focus was to make sure that we just made it tough on him every time. All our guys at different times were on him and involved in the play and just making sure that he earned everything he got. And I felt like we did a really good job of that.
Paul Flannery, SB Nation. Kyrie, how vital is that pick and pop game that you have with Al, not only for getting him shots and looks, but for kind of opening up other things on the floor?
It's very vital for our offense. It brings continuity, brings spacing, especially when we're in the right spots. We're staying disciplined in our half-court offense, and we have either matchups that we want to go at, or Al knows, where I'm going to be getting downhill, and we communicate throughout the game where we would like our pick and roll offense to be, how we can be more efficient, so I don't miss him on easy shots or easy opportunities that he can make for others. So it's vital for our offense, and I think that we do a great job of communicating that throughout the whole entire game, because we understand that they're going to adjust as well. So, just playing the game the right way. Me and him in the pick and roll, we're very efficient. So I just try to make the right read. I threw a ball all the way in the stands in the beginning of the game.
That was my fault. I was in the wrong place.
Appreciate that. But and just going back to the bench and then being able to have that talk and establish a position where I would like him to be and where it's comfortable for him. So.
Taylor Snow, Celtics.com. You guys went back to that small starting lineup with Morris at the 4. How do you think that move benefited you guys, and also just the impact that Marcus had out there too?
I think that he obviously adds spacing, but there's still a toughness that him and Baines bring. Either one coming off for our starting unit. Obviously, Smarty's not here, but throwing either one of them in there works for us, and we're going to make it work, especially when we want to go at specific matchups. So I think it worked to our advantage, and I think it'll work to our advantage throughout this series if we play it right. So he's in the right spot for majority of the game. Marcus is always ready to play, as well as Baines. We never want to see anybody go down, but it's interchangeable for us.
John Corrales, MassLive.com. In that locker room all season long, Kyrie, a lot of guys have been saying, look, wait until the playoffs. Throughout all the struggles, is this the type of game that you guys envisioned when you were telling us to come back to you when it came to the playoffs?
Maybe there was a little foreshadowing throughout the regular season as we were dealing with our ups and downs naturally. But I think that we just have an appreciation for the group that we have. We've spent at least 2 years together now. Everyone's relatively healthy other than Smarty. So I think that we have a good rhythm of the expectations for each other and then going out there and executing. Brad does a great job putting us in a great position in terms of the game plan and preparation. So it's our job to go out there and execute. We obviously try to get the best out of each other, and I think that communication on the bench has improved vastly since the playoffs have started. And just everyone feels good, so I think that helps as well.
Kyrie, Gary Walsh from Boston Globe. You took 21 shots, but it didn't seem like you took that many. Do you like when you're kind of playing both scorer and facilitator? And how did you feel like your role was tonight, especially in the second and third quarters when you didn't shoot that much?
Well, I just play the game as it comes. I think that when I'm out there, I think that if I try to put too much of an emphasis on thinking too much about trying to be aggressive or trying to be too much of a facilitator, then it'll take me out of my game. So tonight, just coming out there, I just wanted to come out aggressive, establish myself in the post, establish myself around the mid-range area. Then after that, I knew that the adjustments that they were going to make were going to dictate the rest of the pace of the game. So the second and third quarter, I really don't worry about shots. I could get my shot anytime I want. I think everybody in the building knows that. But aside from that, the evolution of my game has come from just being able to pace the game very well and manage it, and then establish these guys throughout the game because they're special as well. So I'm even more special when they're making shots and they're doing what they do. So I try to just go out there and just ease into it. And, some shots are going to go in some nights and some shots are not. So I think that just coming in with that mindset, just be aggressive, and then that'll open up opportunities for my teammates.
You guys have both been in so many postseasons at this point that I know, Kyrie, you've mentioned it, that the regular season can be just long waiting to get here. Now that you get to be here, though, get to be at this favorite time of year, when you're out there, do you notice yourself focusing differently, taking in everything differently, thinking about it differently?
It don't really matter about the environment at this part. I mean, at this point, I've heard the loudest of the loud. I've heard so many things throughout the playoffs. I've been in some 7-game series. I've been in some sweeps. I've been all over the board emotionally, trying to figure out, all right, how do we dial back in? How do I dial back in personally? Do I come out more aggressive? And you start to overthink the game, and it's just basketball. So you prepare the right way. You give it great energy. You give your teammates great energy. Then it'll come right back to you. And I genuinely believe that. So obviously it's just one game. We're not going to shoot as well as we did. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I hope it does. But I'm just saying that just being real with going out and how I manage the game. These guys help me tremendously. I don't really want to talk much. I don't really want to say much. We're in the huddle, but they bring it out of me, and I'm appreciative of that because they allow me to just be me. And Al holds me down as well. So.
I mean, Al, you're so calm all the time. Do you notice yourself during postseason games any different out on the court than in the regular season?
I think it is. For me, just everything is so much, gets heightened so much. The intensity, the fans, I just think the focus level goes way up. And for our group, that was something that I feel like we had a hard time in the regular season. After some of us, obviously, last year going through a run and being in these type of positions and then coming to the regular season. And, it was tough to get to that stage. So I just think that once the postseason started, I think we all really have been able to lock in. And Kyrie has been on our ear, even, weeks before the regular season even ended, about the commitment and what we needed to do as a group and how we needed to prepare and be better. And I think all the guys understood what he was trying to tell us and have taken up on that challenge and trying to be better and trying to do the little things to get us to this point.
Mark Murphy, Boston Herald. Al, how much did the maintenance program during the season help you, and how has that helped your energy right now?
I think it was very helpful for me, just because, I wanted to be at my best when I got to this point of the season, and our medical staff and our coaches being conscious of that, understood that we needed to make some sacrifices during the season, and I felt like they managed it perfectly, and now we're in a good position. We're in the place that we want to be, and just trying to make the most of it.
John Corrales, MassLive.com. Giannis has been blocked in the restricted area less than one time per game during the regular season. You guys got him 3 times tonight. What was it defensively that you saw as a group, not just you, but as a group, and what do you need to do to match that in game 2?
I just think that our group, we all understood how we needed to defend and how dangerous he is once he gets it in the paint. So constantly tonight, we had a couple breakdowns, but for the most part, I feel like everyone was very aware. Our guards really did a good job of helping and closing down lanes and things like that. And we just wanted to challenge and contest every shot as best we could. And I felt like we were able to do that today.
Thank you, Kyrie. Thank you, Al. Thank you, ladies. All right. It feels like nighttime, but it's like 3 p.m. Like
3 p.m.
Chris, you know you guys haven't dealt with a lot of adversity all year. How do you think the team is going to respond Tuesday night?
First, I think we have battled some adversity this year. I mean, this isn't the first time we lost. I don't know about the margin, but I mean, we've been down that big before in the game and came back and won. But I'm not worried about the guys. We know we didn't play well. We know Boston, they came here and just threw a punch at us and to see how we responded. So we have to look forward to game 2 and look forward to the challenge.
The offensive numbers obviously don't look pretty. The shooting numbers don't look pretty. But what did you see offensively? Obviously a rough start. Were you happy with the looks you were getting?
Somewhat. I mean, I think we missed a lot of open shots, but Boston did a great job of, just making it tough. They shrink the paint, switch a lot of our pick and rolls, took us a lot of our action. So we just have to find a way to continue to run our offense, play with pace, and play with a lot of flow.
Yeah, the fast break game. It felt like late in the first half you really got going, obviously, when you come back into the game. Is that just hard to do when they're hitting such a high percentage of shots in terms of not getting rebounds and getting out in transition? How do you get that going?
That's part of it. They did a great job of stringing us out on pick and rolls, and Kyrie and Al Horford, they played a great two-man game and got us in rotations a couple of times. So I mean, when you're taking out the ball at the net every time, it's hard to play with pace. It's hard to get that rebound and push.
Giannis didn't have a lot of airspace to work with down in the paint. How do you guys kind of loosen that up a little bit?
Just find ways. I mean, but we've seen Giannis has been seeing crowds all year long. So I mean, we got to count on to make the right reads. We still want to be aggressive, but if Boston is going to do what they did tonight, we have to make shots from the perimeter. Just make the game easier on him and make the game easier on ourselves.
Chris, this entire season we've kind of talked about the math problem, right? That you guys are gonna give up mid-range shots, but you're gonna take threes. Tonight the threes aren't falling. Did it feel like in the second half maybe the let it fly wasn't happening quite the same way it normally does? You guys weren't shooting with the same confidence?
Yeah, I think we hesitated some. I mean, that's part to credit to Boston's defense. Their rotations were on point. They made us second guess a lot of our actions, our catch and goes and whatnot, and our shots. So watch the film, see where we can attack from. But, I mean, we still want guys to be aggressive, catch and shoot, catch and drive, just play.
There's a lot of talk about your offense, the Bucks offense, but what about defensively? Because it did feel like a lot of the shots they were getting were the ones that you've been sort of giving away all season in terms of contested mid-range shots. So what did you see defensively?
I mean, from top to bottom, they're a great team, too. I mean, they have a lot of guys that can step in, a lot of guys that can score, a lot of guys that can shoot. So, I mean, we just got to find a way to take away something. I think tonight they got a little bit of everything in the paint from mid-range and three. We got to find a way to take away something on their end.
I think much of the week we talked about Horford, the pick and pop. How do you feel like you guys defended against that?
Not too well. I mean, like I said, they did a great job of just stringing us out and giving a lot of space, with whether to catch and shoot, drive it, or find an open man, somebody came to him. So we got to just maybe put more into it, find a different coverage or whatever it is. I think game 2 we'll be ready for that.
Chris, I asked a couple of your teammates about it too, just the way that they came out. Was there anything that surprised you about the energy and effort that they provided? Because George said they kind of punched you in the mouth and you guys didn't respond the way that he thought you would.
No, I mean, it's the second round of playoffs. I mean, tension's going to go up. Focus, have to be sharp, and they were all that, especially on the road. It's tough. So they came in, did their job, executed their game plan, and,
stole game one from us.